This is KCBD News Channel 11's Daybreak Today.
Now at 6, 4 people are recovering this morning after a crash in South Lubbock. Plus, police are now offering a reward for any information helping solve a man's death over the weekend. And the effects of the winter storm that hit much of the U.S. continues today. How it's affecting flights right here at home and across the nation. That's all just ahead for you. But first, we want to say good morning. Thanks so much for waking up with us on Daybreak today. I'm Angie Wynn. It's Tuesday, December 27th. The month is just speeding by. Steve Devine is standing by with today's forecast, but Michael Cantu has all the latest. Good morning, Michael.
Yeah, morning, Angie. Wasn't yesterday just the beginning of December? The Department of Transportation says it may have to get involved to look into why Southwest Airlines is canceling so many flights. We'll have more on that. And the Texas National Guard is putting in more work in El Paso to try and tame border crossings. Before we get to those stories, turn to Steve and take a look at that forecast. Steve?
Thank you, Michael. A little bit more tame in terms of our local weather. Now, this morning, we have just a little bit of cloud cover drifting overhead. Tower cam here showing some pretty mild conditions. That is, there's no vibration showing up. Later on today, that will be likely, though, as the wind speeds pick up. 30 over at Levelland at the airport there, but the Lubbock airport has jumped up to 38 degrees, and that's after being down around 31 just a little while ago. But expect that temperature to drop again here. The wind chill reading, 21 over at Levelland. Lubbock is 29, Lamesa is 20, and it's 14 over at Childress. So still a cold start. But again, these are pretty typical for this time of year, not that extreme cold that we saw in that Thursday, Friday, Saturday time frame. So I do expect some cloud cover to kind of come and go. It won't produce any showers for us. The winds, it's going to be on the windy side, but that will help to warm us to a little over 60 degrees here late this afternoon. Now tomorrow it's going to get even warmer. Unfortunately, it's also going to be windier. So I'll update you on that, the holiday weekend forecast too.
All right, thank you so much, Steve. Well, the long holiday weekend is over, and if you're headed to the airport, you will want to check your flight status first. As Amy Kiley reports, some factors behind yesterday's air travel mess will be lingering today.
We're trying to fly home, but that's not looking like it's happening.
Many U.S. air travelers are in for another rough day. FlightAware says Southwest had canceled about 60% of today's flights before the day even started. It canceled roughly 70% of yesterday's. And
next available seats for rebooking are on the 31st and beyond.
Here's what's happening, according to the company.
Obviously facing some operational challenges this evening with Winter Storm Elliott. That has kind of moved on to include some challenges with our flight crews.
The phone systems that the company uses is just not working. They're just not manned with enough manpower in order to give the scheduling changes to flight attendants.
Southwest isn't the only airline that's been canceling flights, and the weather's been affecting airports too. Buffalo Niagara International says it'll remain closed today. Pittsburgh's airport is sending its snow equipment to help.
We've been hit with a blizzard, none that the likes of Buffalo has seen, with those high winds and snow amounts.
It's snowing again today in parts of the U.S., and the National Weather Service has issued several winter storm warnings. Some travelers are trying to make the best out of the situation.
Go back home, hang out with the pops for a couple more days, call my boss and tell him I'm sorry.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
With that being said, thousands of Americans are stranded trying to get home. Southwest Airlines has canceled nearly 3,000 flights, including those to, from, and through Lubbock. Some passengers report they are unable to get a flight from Dallas to Lubbock until Saturday. Here is a look at those flights in and out of Preston Smith International Airport. You can see Southwest flights were no-shows throughout last night. While United and American flights were on time, Southwest ended up scrapping 70% of its domestic travel Monday. The airline has already canceled 3 out of 5 routes planned for today, so you want to keep an eye on that board at the airport in case you have travel plans today. And because of all that travel issues, the government agency in charge of airlines says it may have to get involved. Michael has more from the News Now desk. What do you know so far?
Angie, this is coming from the Department of Transportation agency specifically calling out Southwest. In a statement we're seeing this morning, the DOT says the rate of delays and cancellations are unacceptable, and it's also reminding people of Southwest's customer service plan. The department says it will, quote, examine whether cancellations were controllable and if Southwest is complying with its customer service plan. Angie?
Thank you, Michael. Here at home, Lubbock police are offering a reward for any tips that can help solve a man's death Sunday night. Police say 20-year-old Ivan Reed was shot at an apartment complex on East 4th Street near Ute Avenue. Investigators believe Reed was in a fight just before the shooting, and there is no threat, they say, to the public at this time. Reed was taken to a local hospital where he later died. If you have information about the shooting, you are asked to call the crime line at 741-1000, and you can remain anonymous and be eligible for a cash reward. 4 people are also recovering this morning after a crash near South Loop 289 in Quaker. Officers responded to this 3-vehicle crash just after 12 Monday afternoon on the access road. This is near Quaker. Again, LPD says 2 suffered moderate injuries and the other 2 had minor injuries from this crash. No other details have been released so far. Meanwhile, another person was injured in a wreck just before 2 Monday afternoon on the interstate near Erskine. LPD had to close down lanes on the southbound access road to I-27 in order to clear that scene. Now, one person did suffer moderate injuries there. However, no other details have been released. Michael?
Andy, right now the Texas National Guard says it is putting up more fencing along the Texas-Mexico border. As of yesterday, more than 2 miles of additional fencing went up. The agency says this is in an effort to try and stop border crossings. Meanwhile, the city of El Paso is trying to find a way to get asylum seekers off the streets and into shelter. We'll talk more about that later in the show. Now, the city has extended an emergency declaration hoping for more government help, but more crossings are expected as the Title 42 border policy remains in limbo.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Midland police have arrested and charged a man with capital murder for the deaths of two people more than a week ago. And police say 2 other suspects are still on the run. Reports show 29-year-old Jordan Golden was one of 3 men who shot Anjaya Sandler and DeCameron Sims at an apartment back on December 17th. Investigators have not specified what role Golden may have played in the shooting. Right now, officers are looking for the 2 people on your screen, 30-year-old Sean Love and 25-year-old Jamar Jackson Jr., who are also wanted for capital murder. In Austin, the state's power grid operator is patting itself on the back for weathering the Arctic blast over Christmas weekend. ERCOT officials say demand exceeded its expectations Friday by nearly 10,000 megawatts at one point. ERCOT operators asked the U.S. Department of Energy for permission to exceed pollution standards this weekend if there was a need. But despite the overwhelming demand, the grid maintained itself. ERCOT did not have to put its power plants into overdrive or emergency operations. Speaking of that Arctic blast, Steve Devine is joining us now with a look at today's forecast. It looks like those temps are much higher now. Good morning, Steve. What do we see?
Good morning. Nice warm up on the way for the time of year. By the way, the Arctic blast that we did have, brought us the coldest December weather that we have seen here in a little more than 30 years. Now, just last February, it was colder than it got. Typically, we see some of our coldest weather in January and February around these here parts. Now, next winter storm is already affecting the west, some high mountain snow there. We're going to have just a little bit of cloud cover for us coming up today, so it's a dry forecast once again. Currently at the Lubbock Airport, clear and 38 degrees. Breeze already picking up, puts the wind chill down at 29 degrees. That breeze now at about 10 to 20 miles per hour is going to continue to increase, so that especially this afternoon, likely sustained around 20 to 30 miles per hour. There you go. Sustained winds, again, about 20 to 30. We'll probably get some gusts to around 40 miles per hour today. So it's a no burn day. May get some patchy blowing dust. The direction from the southwest will help to warm things up quite a bit. Now, the speeds will drop off a bit this evening, but it's going to stay breezy tonight. So again, coming up today, windy, warming to about 62 degrees here in the Lubbock area. Highs today 7-8 degrees above the average for this time of year. Overnight tonight, it won't be as cold. We'll be down to about 40 degrees tomorrow morning, upper 30s, low 40s for the area. But tomorrow will be even windier. We may get gusts right around 50 miles per hour tomorrow. So blowing dust, no burn conditions. That wind, though, helps to warm us to about 69 degrees Wednesday afternoon. Angie?
That sounds nice. Thank you, Steve. It is 6:09 and still to come on Daybreak today. A look at how the nation is faring during the first winter blast of the season. Plus, we'll meet a local homeless man who's trying to make an impact while leaving folks with a smile. Everything you need to know is right here on Daybreak today. Don't go away. You're watching KCBD News Channel 11.